couple of weeks ago, we introduced a new way to segue into a topic, and I think it's a perfect time to bring it back this week with what's going on in the greater sports world, and that is March Madness. So let's take it over to the water cooler and break it down a little bit. Around the water cooler, we're talking March Madness today, John. And we have both of our brackets here. I want to hear, some blurbs, some bigger thought processes that you have, sleepers, who's going to win it all. I'll put your bracket up first and you can kind of talk me through some of the stuff you're thinking because March Madness is officially here. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. The first thing I'll say while you're pulling that up is that I'm not thrilled that North Carolina is in a playing game, and we weren't even sure that they were going to make it into like the big bracket. That is my favorite non-Ohio State college basketball team. Has been for a long time. They are struggling and having a tough year. But there was all the hype around Duke because of Cooper Flag, and I'm a certified Duke hater. This is 100% biased, but it's also what I think. I think with his injury, they're going to struggle. I think they're a smidge overrated and too reliant on one player, and I don't see them with him busted up making a run at the national championship. I thought Auburn was the best team in the country from the first tip of the season. I still do now. I pick a couple upsets, throw logic out the window. It's funny that the brackets are like the most hyped, like gambling opportunity of the year, especially before it was legalized in so many places. And it's so hard to be right. But it is fun. There's something just about the science of a bracket, getting down to one team, watching your team make that run to the Final Four, the buzzer beaters, the Cinderellas. I love that it's on 4 channels and that it goes all day and that you can watch every game now. I'm old enough, no comment, Noah, to remember where it was like CBS would just show a game and then cut real quick to other stuff as it was happening, and streaming it on my computer, my roommate's computer. We had 2 TVs, so I could watch it in college. It is a good time. I got Auburn coming out on top this season. I just think top to bottom they're stacked. But it wouldn't surprise me if somebody else from the mighty SEC emerged, and it wouldn't surprise me if Duke got it done. I just don't think they will with the injury.
So it's funny to me how different our brackets are. I'm going to try to pull this up with the ticker and see if it doesn't overlap. If it does, I got to pull it down real quick. Oh, look at me, just cutting it off. Perfect. Anyway, I have Florida winning this whole thing. Why are you sleeping on the Gators? I saw you have them lose to Maryland in the Sweet 16. I think Florida is the most well-rounded team here. They are backed by a bunch of depth. They have fantastic shooting. They play a well-rounded game. Why are you sleeping on Florida, John?
Not sleeping on them. They're one of the mighty SEC teams I said could jump up and grab Auburn and everybody else for that matter. When I do my brackets, I have a few rules that always serves me well. I literally have never won one of these things in my entire life or come close. But if you get to the Final Four and you have 4 number 1 seeds, there was a point in time where that never happened. It's still, in all likelihood, not going to happen. And Florida was of the 1 seeds, the team that I thought would got based on the toughness of the region. I think people are sleeping on the Big Ten because they're not the SEC. It's funny how we've switched because the SEC as a basketball conference used to be a joke, but the football was everything. Now you got Alabama losing 3 games, one at Vanderbilt, one at Oklahoma, but all the SEC chants are because like Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, there's so many good teams down there. I wouldn't sleep on Mississippi State. Like they are stacked. The SEC is loaded, but I think because they're so loaded, people forget that the Big Ten is historically a powerful conference. Teams like Maryland, teams like Illinois, that people are saying, oh, it's the SEC's year. One good half or one bad half of shooting, anybody could go home. And I think the Terps, if they get to that point, can be one of those teams that slows Florida down enough to make it interesting. But like you said, man, who the hell knows? But no, I am not sleeping on the Gators. I just had to pick something other than chalk for my Final Four.
That's totally fair. I know Eric, I believe, I'm like 95% sure Eric is also a Gators to win the whole thing. Maybe it's the Urban Meyer bias in me as well. Shout out Urban Meyer, being from my hometown, being from my home school. I also want to throw a quick story out there because you mentioned you've never come close to winning a bracket tournament. Actually, the first year I did March Madness, I was this close, and I actually won it. but it was my buddy, shout out Bento. I don't know if he's watching live. He does from time to time. Bento was our bookie for it. We were in middle school and we were just doing like $5 in the pot or whatever. And it was like all our friends, and his girlfriend did it at the time. And I picked Dayton to go on the Cinderella run when they went on that Cinderella run. I think they went to
Oh
the Elite
yeah.
Eight or something like that. And because it was so close and it was his girlfriend versus me, he picked his girlfriend to win it and gave her the 40, 50, whatever, how much it was. And
Mhm.
screwed out of my only March Madness bracket win ever.
Oh,
There's
that's
still so there's still beef there. That being said, I wanted to ask you, do you have any Cinderellas that you are trying to maybe pick out? Because I have one that has piqued my interest.
yeah, it sucks. Super quick on Dayton. Shout out Dayton. That program got screwed worse than any in NCAA basketball history because they had a national championship worthy team when the pandemic hit, and we never got to see what they would have done. They were ranked like third in the country. They had top, and they were just, I think it was top, and they were destroying people. And then the season was just over. But yeah, it sucks to say it. But if you look at my bracket, the biggest Cinderella I have is North Carolina. I hate that I have to use that term for a blue blood. But I got them going to like the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight for a run like that out of that team. That would be a Cinderella run, even though it's a name we're familiar with. This is not your normal North Carolina team. So that's probably the one team. That's a homer pick too, but that's probably the one team where you look at my bracket, you're like, huh, Tar Heels in the Elite Eight. All right. How about you?
Yeah, so Dylan actually shouted it out in the chat already. I have Drake as my Cinderella team this year. Did you know Drake is 30-3 right now? I know they're not in a big conference. They are 30-3 in basketball play right now. They are the nation's first team to reach 30 wins this season. They have had defensive excellence. They are an 11 seed, so they're going to get some fun matchups. They're playing Missouri round one. I could see them squeaking through and being the easily predictable but still fun Cinderella team this year. 30 wins, man.
Yeah.
30 wins.
Yeah, it's a lot of wins. I mean, you can't take it from them, no matter how quote unquote easy the conference is. You rattle off 30 in a season, you're doing something right. Like it could be Drake. I remember seasons past too. There's all these non-power conferences, and in basketball it gets silly, right? You got the WCC, you got the Sun Belt, you got all these people. The Vermont Catamounts come out of the Colonial Athletic. I mean, you just get weird teams. Quinnipiac. But sometimes they do damage, and it's really, really fun to watch. It's the beauty of the bracket system, because if these were like a reduced field and you were playing best of three, you're not going to see those kind of upsets that often. But yeah, man, I love a good Cinderella story. The 12-5 matchup is usually where I look to say, okay, if somebody knocks them off, but it's one of those things. The bigger the upset, the easier the path, right? Well, remember when Virginia lost to, who was it, UMBC? No.
Yeah, Mary Hardin Baylor, right?
Yeah.
No, not Mary. Yeah, but yes. They were the Retrievers.
University
of
of Maryland, Baltimore County. I think it was them.
Yes.
But that's the reward for being the one seed is the easiest path to the Final Four. So when a 16 team wins, it only happened once, their path is just as easy. So if you see a 2-15 matchup and the 15 team figures out a way to win, a lot of time that's where you see it, because the next round game isn't all that challenging because it's the reward for having a high seed.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got to ask you one question as an old head. Yes, we are an Ohio State fan base over here at the office. Do you think, growing up, and I'm a football guy, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, the first Ohio State team that I fell in love with was the Aaron Kraft Ohio State Buckeyes.
I loved that team.
Do you think we will ever touch that in, say, the next 10, 15 years with them missing the tournament for the third straight year now?
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. But when you have a brand as big and as powerful as Ohio State's, recruiting is a little easier. We just need a coach. Thad Matta was the best option. So we had like a couple of kids who went to my high school, Cleveland Heights High School. I think Theo Dixon went to Ohio State. He won Mr. Basketball. there was Scooney Penn. He didn't go to Heights, but there was a run of like decent Ohio State teams. I think Damon Stringer went down there, if I'm not mistaken. They were good, but not that good. And then all of a sudden we got Thad Matta and had the Thad 5. Crazy to me that you were a kid when Aaron Kraft was running point, because I think I was older than him in college when I was watching that team. But yeah, we got Thad Matta, had the Thad 5, and all of a sudden we had like dudes at every position, and we had Odin and ran through it to the national championship before we ran into our untimely demise. But do I think we'll see us turn into Duke or North Carolina? No. But you convince the next LeBron James to come to Ohio State. I mean, that's where LeBron said he would have gone. You get a guy, one and done guy who's a top recruit because he's from Ohio, wants to play at Ohio State. I think we'll have a few good seasons, but yeah, the Buckeyes basketball program is not in a good way right now.
I'm not even asking for blue chip program. I'm just asking to have some fun with Ohio State basketball. I can't. This is me throwing myself under the bus as a host of a sports show. I am an Ohio State basketball fan, and I cannot tell you the last time I watched an Ohio State basketball game. Maybe that's a detriment to college basketball as a regular season product. Maybe that's a detriment to me as a host for not doing better. But I just want to have some fun with some college basketball. And yeah, I can get behind the Daytons and the Xaviers and all the other Ohio schools around that are good, but they aren't the Buckeyes, and they'll never do it for me like the Buckeyes will. So that's just me.
I tell you what, you know this because you always give me shit for being a Bengals quote-unquote fan because they're my second favorite team. But my mom's from Cincy. My grandparents lived there for decades, and I was a big Bob Huggins, University of Cincinnati Bearcats fan. They went on a run where it didn't matter if Ohio State stunk in my mind because I loved the Bearcats. And whether it was Jason Maxiell or Kenyon Martin or Nick Van Exel, like that's another program in the state of Ohio that I'm looking to like give us somebody kind of close to root for. Cincinnati is almost more disappointing than where they fall into because they used to be a shoo-in for Sweet 16. And now they're struggling too. But yeah, man, I'm with you. Like, can we win more than 15 games and compete in the tournament and like bow out gracefully as a 12 seed? Like, I'm not even asking for a run to the finals. Like, make it.
I'm asking for some fun. That is what I'm asking for.